Chicago, 1923. Prohibition started 3 years ago, and the criminal gangs want more power, more money, and oh yes, much, much more prestige. They're not alone though. Competition is moving in from all around the world, and the new faces want a piece of the action. Grab your Tommy guns as we take a dive into the new expansion, because it's time for new blood, new players, new amassed fortunes. It's time to choose sides in the war for the streets, because everything is heating up, because it's time for bloody business. Hey everybody, welcome out to the show, Board Game Reviews. This is a YouTube channel dedicated to our wonderful tabletop gaming hobby, and this video is part of a video series looking at the expansion for Scarface 1920, the expansion called Bloody Business. Now, Bloody Business is an expansion that adds quite a bit to the game, but before we go anywhere, I want to emphasize this video series is based on a prototype of the game itself. Redzen was wonderful enough to send me over a copy of the prototype. Now, as always, as you know, as a fan of my channel, you know that my channel is 100% sponsor free, so this video series is completely unpaid for, unsponsored in any way, shape, or form. But what I want to do is to have a little bit of fun with this and do a couple videos in this series looking at the game of Bloody Business. An expansion for a wonderful game that takes the criminal empire feelings of the 1920s of Chicago and lets us play out through the time of Prohibition as one of the great criminal gangs. What this box set is going to do is allow us to have a lot more fun and add in more things. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because what I want to do is do a series of videos. This video is just going to be a quick overview of exactly what Bloody Business adds to the game of Scarface 1920. Check out the videos in the series where I'll cover the two new gangs. Each one of the gangs will get their own video series. And then finally, I'm going to play a two-player game between those two gangs, so you can see exactly what those two gangs add to the game, the new powers, the new abilities, and the way they're going to shake things up in this game of Bloody Business. So what exactly does Bloody Business add to the game? Well, it adds new associates, it adds new raid cards, it adds new jobs, it also adds new extra cards. But if that was all it did, that would actually not be too terrible, but Redzen has taken up to one extra level because they've included a whole lot more for the game. Because we got new mechanics, new gameplay, new gangs, and a new way to play the game with a brand new sideboard. Oh yes, and we got so many much more mechanics that come to this game now to make Bloody Business a must-have expansion for Scarface 1920. First up out of the gate are going to be the new associates, the new doctor cards that are going to come for every single one of the gangs. Every single gang is going to get a brand new doctor card that's going to add to the starting hand of cards, and this is going to be a new mechanic, because you're not going to instantly take losses when you suffer hits in this game. Now you got to go to the hospital, which adds in some more interesting mechanics into the game. And these hospitals are going to be extremely important, because your angry boss is now one of the figures that's going to be on the board taking over all of Chicago. You're not going to be running your gang sitting back behind your desk. Now you get to go out into Chicago, interact with all the different neighborhoods in your effort to take over all of Chicago. Next up, we have the Annex Board with this new business demand track, giving extra value to building certain businesses into your criminal empire. Adding to that, now we have a whole bunch of more cards in the street card gangs, and these gangs are going to add extra powers, extra abilities, and new ways for you to interact with the game, because these gangs are going to give you extra abilities, a choice of one of two different abilities, and these are also going to increase the abilities and the powers of your gang. Let's just say the street gangs are here to minimize the competition. Next up, we have new ways to score, because now we get to vote on the candidates who are going to be taking over Chicago, and we get to have a wonderful influence on exactly which politicians are going to come in and take over the city at the end of the game. Because these new politicians, there's going to be multiple politicians, but every time you play the game, you're going to pick a red politician and a blue politician. And these are going to give you extra different ways that you're going to score victory points throughout the game. Now, the nice way this interacts with the game is as you take actions that go out to the authorities, you're going to get voting tokens. You're going to use those voting tokens to influence which politician is going to win the game, because you want the politician that is going to allow you to get the most amount of victory points to be the final politician. So now we give an extra strength to the authorities track, because these politicians have different ways to gain victory points by things that we would have done before. Now our completely changed may give us amount of victory points and money in different amounts for doing different things. So now we have an extra layer to the game where now the authority space has just given a little more power, a little bit more ability, and another place you want to focus as you're playing throughout Scarface 1920. Politics, double dealing, backstealing. Gotta love it. It's so darn fitting and thematic for the 1920s. We also have a most wanted section on the Annex Board, and we also have the G-Men now. The G-Men, the G-Men, bring in the FBI, because the FBI is now here to try to stomp down your gang, because not only do we have to worry about raids, but now we also have to worry about Melvin Purvis himself, who was an American law enforcement official and a Federal Bureau of Investigation's FBI agent. These cards will add more challenges and risks for crime lords who are willing to risk notoriety while giving the police a little bit of extra bite in your gameplay. And finally, adding into the fun are two brand new gangs added into the mix, which are going to add extra variety to the game, but also now allow us to play this game with up to 6 players, because now we have the Red Dragon's Tongue gang and we have the Golden Oaks gang. Each one of these gangs bring in extra mechanics and extra gameplay, ensuring that the game of Scarface 1920 will never be the same. Now, this has just been a quick overview video of Bloody Business and expansion for Scarface 1920. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I will do my best to get to them as quickly as I can. Also, feel free to email me at off-the-shelf-board-game-reviews. That is otsbgr@gmail.com. I'll do my best to answer those emails as quick as I can. If you enjoy this video, if you enjoyed this video series, think about supporting the channel over on Patreon. Just tossing $1 tip jar is a wonderful way to say thanks. Remember, this channel is 100% sponsor free. Everything you see that comes out on this channel is 100% from my pocketbook. Just tossing $1 tip jar is a great way to say thanks. But you don't even have to do that. Just right down below the video, there's the like and the subscribe button. 2 clicks, 2 seconds of your time to help keep this channel growing strong. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out the next videos in the series, because I'm going to go ahead and cover both of these gangs in their own separate videos. And of course, a final video where we're going to see some gameplay between these two gangs going head to head, where I'm going to throw in all the new mechanics, all the new gameplay, all the new awesomeness Bloody Business brings to the game of Scarface 1920. Check out the other videos, new one every single day this week.